Jesus is standing in the way of the power of your gratitude really being fulfilled, right? You are misplacing your gratitude. You give all of the gratitude to the blood of Jesus and his sacrifice, but our ancestors spilled their blood, sacrificed their lives, sacrificed their pride, sacrificed their dignity, and endured not only for our sake, but for the sake of your children. They had us in mind, right? And they don't get any acknowledgement. You don't acknowledge your own blood that was sacrificed. You acknowledge the sacrifice of this man. They called on him. He didn't show up. He gets all the glory. You should be glorifying your ancestors.
A lot of this teaches me, or lets me know, that people are not learning enough about who they are and how it is connected. We have somehow allowed Europeans to make our witchcraft, our voodoo, our hoodoo, our ATR, all of that demonic somehow, wrong, blasphemous. Having reverence and venerating your ancestors is not worship, but it has everything to do with Jesus. It has everything to do with what he did as well. They were being an example. They were sacrificing themselves for future generations, for the cause. That is exactly what Jesus did. That's exactly what he did. It has everything to do with each other. He selflessly gave of himself to save people. Our ancestors selflessly gave of themselves for a cause. Jesus was absolutely caught, like he was an activist. That's exactly what he was. Our ancestors, activists, is exactly what they were. They have everything to do with each other. And you all have let them tell you that honoring your ancestors is somehow wrong. You're not supposed to do that. You're not worshiping them. You are remembering them. They are a part of you. They gave you what you have now. They helped us get where we are, just like Jesus did. They told you that Jesus was a white man, and y'all believe it. So much so that you separate Jesus and your people. And you think that they need to be on separate. They're totally different. They're not. They're the same people. They do the same thing. They help you the same way. And we have allowed people to tell us that ATR is wrong. Having an altar is wrong. Remembering, honoring, giving, sacrificing, because they did. It's an example of what we are supposed to be doing, and remembering that gives us something to fight for, to fight toward, because they taught you that it is not your life that matters. It is the future generation's life that matters. What your ancestors taught you is that once you are born, you are already dead. And so now you need to give your days to the people who have not yet come, or the people who are coming up, because they are the ones that matter. That's what they did. And that is what allowed them to give themselves, give their lives for the cause of us. That's what allowed them to do that. That's why they were like, I am not afraid. I am going to walk across this bridge. I am going to run across this field. I am going to try to be free, because I do know that future generations deserve this. And we are too scared to do that because we have separated ourselves from our ancestors. We have actually separated ourselves from even Jesus. He fought for everything. He fought and died for everything that he believed in. And we refuse to do that. And I think that if we start remembering who we are and remembering where we come from and honoring them, we might could get some stuff done too. That's why we are where we are. Because we some weak ass people. They were not.
Can I just say, my I don't believe that Jesus is white. Okay, let me just start there. My beliefs do not come from what Europeans taught me. My beliefs have come from my own examination of the Bible. So anything I say to you is from my understanding of the Bible lining up with secular history. I acknowledge my ancestors. We talk about our ancestors all the time when we go through the stories of the Bible. We learn from the stories of David, Mary, Ruth. We do not worship them, however. I can learn from Harriet Tubman, Maya Angelou, all the great descendants of slaves who have come before me. Yes, I do not worship them, though. I do not hold them in any more reverence than I do anyone else on this panel, because they are human like me. And if in fact they are in tune with the Most High, they would direct that worship to the Most High themselves, realizing that we're all just servants here in this flesh. So I don't understand how come you feel like, because I don't believe in hoodoo, voodoo, or ATR, I think you called it, that automatically means I have a American European understanding of Christ, when that's not true at all.
Miss Monos, what color is he? That's the key.
I believe if he was alive today, he would be identified as a black man. We would call him an American descendant of slaves if he was alive today.
So as far as his messaging is concerned, I'm a little bit troubled by that. And I only say that because I do understand content creation and how a topic can be and sometimes should be polarizing if views are what you're looking for. But I don't think that the message should ever be polarizing. And from what I see, just based on the panel itself, people interpreted the message in completely different ways. And we all just listen to the same shit, like in real time. It's not like it was a rumor where one person heard it and then it was told to another person, another person. To me, I'll just say what I heard. And regardless of what he was trying to say, this is what I interpreted. It sounded like he definitely formed some parallels between when he used worship. When even if it was a pivot, he said it and then went immediately to the ancestors. So to me, that's drawing a parallel. And I mean, as far as worship, M. White definitely hit the nail on the head since early. And, just knock down the word worship itself, because that's a little bit much for me. I do think admiration, respect, homage, which I think M. White mentioned all of those too, makes a lot more sense to me. Right. We should research. I don't think anybody else on here really dug in like that. I could probably go back about 5 generations and that's about it. I wish, but my situation is a little bit different. Like we were colonized by British or whatever. So we're now on a different continent. It's different. So, but it's difficult to find the information. And, but I think you should talk to some of your elders and try to find out and see what's up with that. We should absolutely know where our roots are and teach your children, because a lot of times we don't do that. You should have a family portrait. You should be going through that and explaining to them what it is and what the importance is. As much as our history has been stolen, we see it today. They still do it. They want to rewrite history. They want to steal our history, steal our heritage, and tell us that we wasn't shit even back then when we was killing it, right? And that's part of what it is that people want to do to us, because one thing that I've always understood, right? People understand what our power is, and they fear it. Simple as that. If they didn't, they wouldn't constantly fuck with us. They wouldn't constantly malign us. They wouldn't constantly be on our top for every damn thing that it is that we do. They wouldn't constantly come up with weird ass stats that push narratives that, if you look into it, don't even match up to what it is that they are trying to convey to us. So it's extremely important for us to know our history, and make sure your children do, and make sure that you are perfect, because if you don't know where it is, it's going to change your trajectory for what it is you can do. We should understand how great we were.
Okay, so there is a lot going on between the video and what everybody else has been saying. I'm just going to give my takeaways and land what I took away from the video. And what I'm taking away from the conversation that we're having right now is that there's a dissociation. And that dissociation lies with us, I guess, determining if we're either religious or spiritual people. And even with that, like, y'all know how I consider these topics to be onions because it's just so many layers to it. But I think what Bo was trying to explain to us that, and it's Trev as well, it's important for us to know our history. Sometimes we are fed regurgitated knowledge and we don't know what systems we're necessarily acclimated to because that's all you know until you learn from other people. And then you're able to differentiate or analyze better, like where you fall. But if you only know one side or you only been taught just one type of thing, you're not as well rounded as you may think that you are. You may be open. And maybe that's why sometimes when people are having these conversations, you're resisting because maybe there's something that is, I don't know, maybe it's triggering you or you just are completely against it. But for me, like I said, I think it's just a dissociation with us. I think that, like what Trevor is saying, we can only go back so far in our history. So what do you really know when we break that down? Like there's a disconnection between us, our lineage, our legacies, our histories. So I think maybe if we did individual analysis of that and maybe figured out more of that, we could bring more to this conversation. Because I'm feeling like people taking like personal hits. I don't know. Y'all be like hit dogs, holler, whatever y'all be saying. But I do feel like voodoo in itself has like this negative or sensationalized connotation to it. And it's directly related to our ancestors in Africa. Like Black people always want to scream out, we from Africa, we from Africa, we from Africa. But again, how much of that do you know? Because a lot of your ancestors could have been practicing voodoo. I'm just saying, so until you really do that thorough study, can't really come to the conversation as if you know everything about everybody because we don't. There is a clear cut between us and these ancestors that we're speaking about. So I know we be want to act like we know everything, but we don't, right? So I ain't gonna even play the role. I don't know. All I know is like my grandmother on my mother and my father's side. I never even met my great grandmothers. I saw a picture. That was literally like 10 years ago. So my legacy and my lineage is out there and it's up there. Like I'm still learning and I'm literally 40 years old.